2024 is definitely the best year for historical TV shows we have had in a long time. There were so many amazing, epic historical shows just in the first half of the year. And there are many more amazing historical series set to be released throughout the rest of 2024. But in this video, I will be giving you my recommendations on the top 10 historical TV shows of the first half of 2024. And I am sure there will be many shows in this video that you may have not been aware of. But before we begin, don't forget, if you love anything to do with historical movies and historical TV shows, then subscribe to my channel, HistorySpark. At number 10, it is A Gentleman in Moscow, a historical TV show by Paramount based on the Gentleman in Moscow novel by Amor Towles. And it focuses around a Russian aristocrat who is spared from death and placed on house arrest in the Metropole Hotel, while the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia is taking place all around him. This TV series stars Ewan McGregor and Mary Elizabeth Winstead in the lead roles for this show, and Ewan McGregor is fantastic as Count Alexander Rostov. The cinematography, plot and production design are all excellent in this series as well. But unfortunately, like many recent historical shows, A Gentleman in Moscow does take a hit in terms of realism due to forced inclusivity and total misrepresentation of historical events. But if you're looking for an emotional and engaging historical TV show that you can use as a gateway to Russian history, then Gentleman in Moscow is my recommendation for you. At number 9, it is Testament, the Story of Moses, which is a docu-series depicting the life of Moses from his childhood to his last days leading the Israelites to the Promised Land. This is a 3-part miniseries which tries to depict the entirety of Moses' life, but it ends up spending about 75% of its runtime focusing on Moses and the events that occurred in Egypt, including the plagues, his discussions with God, and his interactions with the Pharaoh. And this part of the series is very well done, but then that leaves only minimal time to cover the remaining decades of Moses' life. So the ending is a lot more rushed and streamlined than I would have liked. But despite the poor pacing of the plot, there is a lot to like here, as the series has great acting, fantastic cinematography, and great set pieces and costume design as well. And the talking heads in this docu-series are terrible. You can easily forward everything they say and not miss out on anything. So, all that to say, Testament, the Story of Moses is flawed, but it is an enjoyable one-time watch for sure. At number 8, it is Franklin, an Apple TV exclusive. And this historical drama depicts the extraordinary events and secret alliances that were orchestrated by Benjamin Franklin to develop the Franco-American Alliance of 1778. I enjoyed this series because this was an era of history which I had very little knowledge about, and I'd never seen a TV series cover these events either, so for me this miniseries was both an educational and entertaining experience. Michael Douglas is captivating as Benjamin Franklin, and the set pieces, costume design, and overall production quality is top tier. However, since Franklin is a miniseries which is only 8 episodes long, it does struggle with pacing, and the script is also a bit weak overall. But if you're looking to find out more about the American Revolution and Benjamin Franklin's life, then Franklin is the perfect show for you. At number 7, it is Manhunt, a historical miniseries which focuses on the events leading up to and directly after Abraham Lincoln's assassination. And this is a series based on the book Manhunt, the 12-Day Chase for Lincoln's Killer, which tells the story of how Abraham Lincoln's friend and advisor Edwin Stanton starts a long and challenging manhunt to track down Lincoln's killer, John Wilkes Booth. So this is the first depiction I've ever seen of this premise, and it does a great job of depicting the events leading up to John Wilkes Booth's capture. And the acting here is great, with Anthony Boyle being the standout performance for me. He is a villain that's definitely easy to hate. Most of the cast here is great except for the actor who plays Lincoln, as his depiction will leave you confused and scratching your head at times. However, the costume design, the storyline, production, and cinematography are all great here. And if you can get over a few initial quirks, you will enjoy Manhunt, which is available to stream on Apple TV+. At number 6, it is Captivating the King, a South Korean historical drama which tells the fictitious story of King Yi of the Joseon dynasty, and the cruel court politics he has to contend with, making it nearly impossible for him to find someone at his court for him to truly trust, much less fall in love with. But in a plot twist, a woman intent on assassinating him eventually ends up falling in love with him, and the series depicts their tumultuous and dangerous love story. This series has all the standards of a top tier South Korean historical epic. It has great set pieces, acting, and the series does a magnificent job of building suspense and tension within the viewer. But my primary critique with the series is that its final episode really dropped the ball and did not resolve many of the main storylines adequately, and it rushed in far too much information in too short of a period. But if you are looking for a series that has 15 amazing episodes and a lackluster finale, then Captivating the King is my recommendation for you. At number 5 it is Griselda, a Netflix original series which got released to the platform on the 25th of January. And this miniseries tells the extraordinary story of Griselda Blanco and how she built a cocaine empire in America and would eventually become known as the Cocaine Godmother, one of Colombia's most feared and ruthless drug lords. Griselda was a 6-episode miniseries which probably wasn't enough episodes to tell her complex story properly, but this show is rapid paced with so much happening per episode that you are just glued to your screen from beginning to end. I do think it is important to emphasize that Griselda isn't on the same level of greatness as Narcos, and the pacing of this series is faster than I would have liked, but Griselda is a brutal, fun and engaging miniseries that you will probably end up binge watching in one sitting. So if you have a Netflix subscription and you haven't seen Griselda yet, I highly recommend you add it to your watch list as soon as possible. 2024 continues to be the year of the historical miniseries, and this is highlighted thoroughly in our next entry, The Tattooist of Auschwitz, which is a 6-part historical miniseries depicting the tale of a couple struggling in the concentration camps of World War II, and the unique and the truly beautiful story of how they found love amongst one of the most brutal and devastating time periods in world history. This series depicts the true story of Ludwig Sokolov, and it is based off of the book of the same name written by author Heather Morris. And she wrote much of this novel with the aid of Ludwig Sokolov himself during his last 3 years of life. And what we witness is a truly inspired work of storytelling, as the acting, plot and script here are all just amazing. The story is so gripping and unbelievable that you will fly through all 6 episodes before you even know it. That's definitely a strong recommendation from me for anyone looking for one of the most unique and underrated historical TV shows of 2024. At number 3 it is Shard Lake, a series which I did not have much expectations for but was pleasantly surprised at how good and interesting this miniseries was. This series may have got middling reviews on IMDb due to many people being upset about the fact that the abbot of an important church was black. And as many long-time viewers of this channel will be able to attest, I don't appreciate forced inclusion in TV shows, especially historical dramas. But to be fair, in Shard Lake these inclusions don't really impact the series overall in any great way. And I don't think it should be a source of detraction from the show, as Shard Lake has a fascinating murder mystery plot which hooks you in right from the start, with some great acting by the 2 primary leads of the show. However though, the secondary characters are poorly developed and it's hard to have any kind of empathy or attachment to them. Also, I think it is important to highlight that even though Sean Bean is plastered all over the posters for Shard Lake, he actually featured very minimally within the series, and he maybe only has about 5 minutes of screen time in total. However, if you are in the mood for a historical TV show which steers away from big battles and action scenes and focuses more on telling a tight-knit story and a suspenseful murder mystery, then Shard Lake on Disney Plus is my recommendation for you. At number 2 it is Masters of the Air, the long-awaited sequel and successor to the Band of Brothers and the Pacific. 2 amazing historical miniseries created by Hollywood legends Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks. And they are back on board to produce Masters of the Air. This TV miniseries got released to Apple TV late in January, and although the series is not as epic as its predecessors, I still really enjoyed Masters of the Air. Masters of the Air depicts the story of the 100th Bomb Group during World War II and the insanely dangerous missions these various bombers and pilot crews had to go on inside German-occupied Europe. And Masters of the Air is a beautiful series, and the viewer will find themselves engrossed in a fascinating, engaging story. However, I felt Aston Butler was miscast in his role, and there are just far too many characters in this series, making it jarring to keep up with all the characters coming in and out of the show. But Masters of the Air is still definitely one of the best war TV shows of recent memory, and if you enjoyed Band of Brothers and the Pacific, then you will love Masters of the Air as well. And obviously the top spot on this list was going to go to Shogun. a historical TV series which got released on February 27 of this year. And this TV series is based off of James Clavell's book, Shogun. The primary cast stars Cosmo Jarvis as John Blackthorne, and the always awesome Hiroyuki Sanada as Lord Teranaga, and Anna Sui as Lady Mariko. And this is by far the best ensemble cast I've seen of any TV series ever. All episodes of this TV show have now been fully released, and I can honestly say, if you haven't seen Shogun yet, you are truly missing out on a masterpiece of a historical show. The acting, set pieces, characters, everything here is absolutely amazing. And this show prioritizes authenticity and accurately depicting medieval Japan above all else. And this results in Shogun being one of the best historical shows ever created. Some people were disappointed with how Shogun ended, but I think it followed its source material perfectly, and I can happily recommend Shogun to any viewers of this channel. So lastly, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching this video, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe to my channel HistorySpark to stay up to date with everything to do with historical movies and historical TV shows. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day. Bye.